growing up in abuse and then trying to come up out of it while still being abused is very hard. So if you're new to this channel, I had to move back in with the moms because I quit everything, so that I could figure out myself. And it's abusive here. Um, Anytime we interact, it's like oil and water. So literally, I have my own child now that I'm raising, that we have our own set of issues, and I'm trying to parent from a place that I wasn't parent, and I lose control sometimes. And I just had a moment where we were talking about it wasn't dumb, but it was dumb for the reaction that both of us had. She wanted to state her opinion about something, which was actually true. I wanted her to know, stop fucking judging everybody when it's not deeply heinous, because literally you don't realize that you might be put in those situations too. So relax, fucking chill, because nobody's perfect. And she's a teenager, so she's in that phase. Some of us go through that phase of just, talking about everybody else. And then she's a teenager that is literally homeschooled, and the only time we get to get out is when we do, basic shit. So, like grocery shopping. So, like, literally, she hasn't been socially experiencing life with other people her age. So, she literally has her own warped views that isn't grounded in experience. Um, and that irritates me sometimes as her mother. Like, literally, it irritates me. Definitely when she wants to repeatedly talk about people on, the internet and all that shit. And it's like an age difference, right? And so I kind of lost it, not because of the conversation we were having, but because, number one, I think we both have problems where we want to both be heard. I think she grew up where she wasn't heard because I was an emotionally unavailable person at different moments in her life. So she felt like she wasn't heard. Then I grew up, I felt like I wasn't heard. So a lot of times when we communicate, it's us talking over each other. And I lost it just now because she decided to walk away while we were talking. She told me what the fuck she wanted me to hear, and as soon as she got to say what the fuck she wanted me to hear, she walked off. And it was like she said, fuck me. Not only did she walk off, she walked off and closed the door. And I don't know, that triggered the fuck out of me. Like, it was just like my own child saying, like, fuck you, bitch, I don't want to hear you. And she didn't say that, but that was what that read to me. I would have never been allowed to do that as a child. And so literally I am going through a processing right now that is trying to understand how I could have handled this better, because I had to pull up on old girl like some street shit. Like, literally, look me in my eye. Don't you ever fucking do that again. I'm tired of it. She's been doing it the whole time, but I've been so fucked up and trying to rebuild myself that I've been letting a lot of shit slide. And it's like I want to correct her, and I want to get her to realize her own processing on her own of, like, maybe that's not mature. But I also felt very immature in my approach because that's what I know. However, I want to change things. Just because that's how I knew it and how I grew up with it don't mean that it's effective or right. It's effective and right, excuse me, for some people, but that might not be effective and right for everybody. And so I had to pull up on her and look her dead in her eyes and let her know, like, you do that shit again, we're going to have some problems. I don't want that to be how I parent. Um, but I just felt like in that second, like, I'm at my wit's end. I'm tired of this shit. I've spoke to you about it. You're not really trying to regulate this shit. Like, do I need to do it for you? But as a parent, I want to know from other parents, like, how do you get your teenage children? Because I don't want to control her. And then I also don't want to abuse her. And then she pick relationships where motherfuckers abuse her. Motherfuckers, like, literally don't let her disengage from a conversation. So one of my thoughts was, like, maybe instead of telling her she can't walk away, maybe allowing her to advocate that she no longer wants to have the conversation. Um, Also, something for myself is when she talks about shit that's not on my playing field, like, you need to go phone a friend. Like, that's a conversation you have with somebody your age instead of engaging it. Because I noticed that, like, we're on two different understandings here. So, like, I'm not going to see shit the same as her. She's not going to see shit the same as me. And that's okay. She is perfectly fine in her development. I'm just trying to figure this shit out because I felt gross after, and I felt my anger boiling. Like, I was ready to fuck that little girl up. And his ego, it's like, how dare you walk away from me? And it's like, she has body autonomy to walk away. And however, I think it's a way that she needs to do that, like verbally communicate. Because, like, even if she's in a relationship with a friend or a partner, or a business relationship, like, that's some immature shit that you just gonna choose to walk away. Like, you gonna say what the fuck you wanna say and then you gonna walk away. Um, Either you wanna have a dialogue or you don't wanna have a dialogue, and there should be some kind of way where you can say, hey, look, I no longer wanna engage in this conversation, and that be respectable on both ends. Um, but or we can talk about this at another time. I'm thinking about stuff like that. And then I'm thinking about also, so that's a tool that we both could use. Then I'm thinking about, how can I take away this very authoritative parenting style of, like, I'm over you, when respect goes both ways. One of the things she said was, you do that to me. And I feel like, first of all, I hate when people do that. When you're in a disagreement, they try to point out what the fuck you do. And it was like, well, why haven't you had this conversation to me about me walking off on you while we talking? Because I don't recall ever doing that shit. But if I'm guilty of that shit, like, why haven't you ever said nothing? I hate when people do that. If you gonna wait till we're in a disagreement to point out what the fuck you think I'm doing, then why didn't you been said something about that shit? So I was just like, you know what? Like, I don't remember doing that. Like, that's not even my biggest MO. If I walk off from you, that just means that I'm ready to fuck you up. So that's why I'm walking off from you. But I don't just walk away from her. And if I do, I can't remember, and I need to be more consciously aware of that. So I'm just trying to figure this shit out. But I do felt like that was like one of those narcissistic tendencies to try to distract and deflect from where the fuck she went wrong. However, I do feel like I have a part that I want to work on, and I shouldn't have to threaten you to fucking be respectful. And because she's my child and I can't, discard her at this young age, and I definitely, no matter what age she was, I wouldn't discard her over a situation like that. Now, if she started doing some wild shit, like, we're going to have some boundaries that match. But shit like that, that's some stuff we can work through, and we have to both work on our own selves and our own ends of the spectrum. So I'm just trying to figure out, how do you emotionally regulate as a parent when your child is disrupting your emotional regulation. And I do think there's a weakness there for me. I don't think, like, oh my gosh, like, what happened was like the worst thing in the world. I just think there's a weakness or a flaw being showed to me as a mirror through my own child. And I got to see me and my own child, and I got to see myself as an adult of where I'm at now. And it's just like, how do you get your teenagers to, like, I don't know, because it's like, I grew up with so much control, and it's just like, do as I say, do it. And it's like, I don't want that. I don't want her to be in fear. The reason why she does what she's supposed to do. I want her to do what I want her to be healthy. When I say do what she's supposed to do, I want her to have a healthy mind, body, soul, and spirit. Because it's innate in her, not because I'm controlling her, I'm forcing her. I do know there's gonna be times where I have to, draw the line and be like, hey, look. But at the end of the day, my whole point is she's really close to adulthood. Like, how do I help her emotionally regulate and communicate so that she doesn't have immature coping response or coping mechanisms like I did. Because like I said, once again, this video isn't about condemning her or myself. It is about literally realizing where those tendencies and where that immature response come up, um, for myself and for her, because we have to deal with each other. We have to be with each other on a day-to-day basis. And even when we don't, I pray to God, like, she wants to be around me and come home and we can have, like, literally uh, a loving mother-daughter relationship. But I don't think we're going to have one if I can't emotionally regulate or draw tools from the toolbox that helps me help her. Because obviously, maybe somewhere down the line I have been walking off and not saying nothing, but to me that's not my MO. But however, sometimes we can't see ourselves. So I don't know. I just needed to get that out, think about that. I did ask for advice, so if anybody in the comments um want to help. I don't really give a fuck about, slow people who literally can't understand what the fuck I'm asking for. Um, you can save your comments. And if you do comment, I'm just going to ignore you because that's a new coping mechanism that I've picked up. Maybe not ignore the people I love, but the people who don't got no sense, ignore the fuck out them. Starve them out. So, I don't know. I'm just a mom trying to figure this shit out. A mom who grew up in abuse and is trying to break those cycles in myself and in my child. So I do want to go apologize to her. And I don't want to make apologizing um, a habit out of losing control. Our kids are watching us, and they choose relationships and people to deal with most times based off us. Now, some kids are so smart and they'll be like, I don't want that shit at all. And then some kids become complacent and conditioned, and that's okay. Even if they know it's not okay, they're like, okay, this is what I'm used to. This is a norm. So it could go either way. And my hopes is that my child never has to go through anything that I fucking had to go through um, in her adulthood. I know I've already put her through some things as a child, but I hope that she doesn't have to repeat any mistakes or cycles that I already have. I hope that she gets to see that, oh, my mom and my stepdad already made those mistakes, and anybody in her family have already made those mistakes. She don't have to, because she already know the gist of the results. Um, yeah. So I'm gonna go apologize and actually um, sit with changing my coping mechanisms and my response mentally, spiritually, soulfully. I'm gonna meditate on that, pray on that, concentrate on that, where I can do better, because that was very unsettling and upsetting. Um, I'm sure it was for her, but for me as well. I just don't want to lose control on her or nobody, like, at all, no more. Like, the moment you lose control, you lose control of yourself. That's literally where I'm at now. At first, I was losing control from being under control of everyone else, but now I don't need to lose control of myself. Like, I control me, and I can handle things in a better way. Every situation doesn't have to be um, met with brute force. I want to be able to talk about things. So number one, I guess we got to work on listening and not um, listening to not respond, but listening to be heard. But we both have to work on that on both ends, because I think it's just two people that felt like they're not being heard, and not even realize they sometimes share the same thoughts, and then sometimes they literally have difference of opinions, and that's okay. Um, and we should be able to still hear each other no matter what. So, yeah, I had a lot of shit I gotta work on as a mother, as a self. Um, But I also have a lot of shit that, like, literally, thank you, God, for bringing me through it, changing my mindset, my wiring. The fact that I'm having this conversation alone literally shows that I'm changing how I want to do things in my life. Yeah, because if I have more kids, I definitely do not want to parent from a slave mentality, abusive authority mentality. I'm a big advocate for respect goes both ways. You're not just right because you're an adult or an elder. We're all learning in this, and these children actually are coming from the spiritual realm where we have been disconnected from. So we all can learn from each other. We're supposed to be teaching and growing with each other, not one over the other. However, there's areas that adults do have more expertise and experience in because they've been here longer. But it doesn't mean that all adults are in that position. So I'm trying to be a fair elder. I have 20 years of experience over her, which isn't a lot, but and she's a very wise one. She was born here very motherfucking wise, very intuitive, very tapped in. And I did dull her senses and dim her light and the decisions that I made. However, we're here now, and I'm trying to do better, and I'm trying to figure out how her light can shine, how she can have body autonomy, and authority and sovereignty over herself, but still we have respect for each other. So that's where I'm at. Yeah, it's hard. Definitely when, like I said, you've been taught and raised in abuse. You, your default sometimes become an abusive response, and I don't want that. Even though this was a verbal and a soulful threat I just gave to that girl, because if I want to look you in your ass, like I just looked her in her ass, and like it's on, and I do want to get out of her whatever is going on, but at the same token, she's a child that you can talk to, and so I'm trying to figure out how to let cooler heads prevail in all situations. So shit, she's one of the people in the world that I love the most, so if I can't treat her or myself right, then I can't treat nobody right. So I'm really dedicated and trying to figure this shit out. It don't mean I won't make mistakes, but I can be honest and try my best to change the behavior. Happy to get that out. This was a venting session, and I hope it finds parents who can relate, parents who got the answers for us. Like, I need help. And I know that God is internal and I can get help from within, but sometimes I just need to get this shit out because just like my child, I do not have a social life that is a constant. So it's literally just me, God, and I. So, in my spirit squad. So, but sometimes we live in these human vessels and we just gotta ventilate it out. And, my whole motto, like I said, I share in hopes that it helps me and that it helps others. So.